Out of the outskirts of Jerusalem to an abandoned but beautiful village called Lifta. Everybody who came through the Holy Land lived there, from the ancient Israelites to the Greeks, Romans, Ottomans, and Palestinians. But today, a debate is raging over whether the site should be preserved as a national archaeological treasure or turned into a residential neighborhood. In an exclusive for I-24 News, our reporter Maya Margit investigates.
This is the story of a village frozen in time, with an incredibly rich past. Abandoned, but not forgotten. Lifta. It may soon vanish forever because of controversial plans to build luxury villas there, transforming an endangered heritage site into a neighborhood for the ultra-rich. Lifta has a remarkable history. People have been living here for thousands of years thanks to natural spring water flowing through the area, and archaeologists even found remnants dating back to the biblical era. Located on the outskirts of Jerusalem, Lifta is mentioned in the Old Testament as part of the territory of the tribe of Judah. In the Bible, it's known as Mei Neftoach. One of the buildings here attests to Lifta's ancient past. These stones are believed to be from antiquity. Over the centuries, the village was inhabited by the Crusaders, the Ottomans, and later, Arab Palestinians, who lived here up until the Arab-Israeli War of 1948, when all the inhabitants fled. Afterwards, the State of Israel used Lifta to house Jewish immigrants from Yemen and Kurdistan. UNESCO put this place on a tentative list for World Heritage Sites, and recently got even more attention when the World Monuments Fund added it to a top 25 list of most endangered sites in the world. Ahead of plans to develop the area into a luxury piece of real estate, the Israel Antiquities Authority was tasked with conducting an in-depth archaeological survey. For 3 years, archaeologists studied the buildings, roads, and foundations of Lifta. A small part of the area was turned into a nature reserve. Last April, the IAA published a video describing the exciting discoveries they made.
There is no doubt this is a very important survey the IAA has conducted, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. And I truly hope the results of the survey will lead to this village being preserved for future generations.
In October, the archaeologists were going to publish their findings for the first time, but somebody stopped them, and the survey, once online, was mysteriously taken down. The Israel Land Authority, or ILA, is the official body for managing lands across the State of Israel, and it's also in charge of the luxury development project in Lifta. The Antiquities Authority and all the archaeologists involved in the survey declined to comment to I-24 News on the survey. They said only the ILA, the Land Authority, is allowed to discuss Lifta. The Land Authority argues that the site needs to be developed in order to be preserved. They also added that they intend to maintain Lifta's historic areas, though no further details were given. Ilan Steyer is the coordinator of a coalition of Jews and Arabs who have come together to try to save the site.
Those of us who are interested in the history of Lifta requested the archaeological survey. We got it via a court order, the Israeli Land Authority, which is publicly funded by Israeli citizens, and the survey results are for us. So this information should be publicly available so that the professionals and experts can look at it and decide what needs to be done here.
Yakub Odeh, who was born in Lifta, is also an active member.
For us, Lifta represents our memory, our history, our rights, above the ground and below. It's trees, it's water, it's stones. We do not intend to give up. Never.
It's unclear why the archaeological survey remains publicly unavailable so far. But I-24 News managed to get a copy of part of the hundreds of pages that make up the in-depth study. The archaeologists' recommendations include maintaining the historic areas, reconstructing the damaged buildings, and keeping the spring open to the public. And, most importantly, avoiding massive development in many areas.
These are the remains from an ancient village in which we can see several layers pertaining to different periods of human settlement, unlike anything else we found in the Middle East.
Giora Solar is the head of the Israeli ECOMOS Committee, the International Council on Monuments and Sites. He helped submit Lifta to Israel's tentative list for World Heritage Sites at UNESCO.
There are many interests, but the prevailing one is the land authority. They want to develop the area and sell houses and sell land.
It's unclear why the Antiquities Authority is unable or unwilling to discuss Lifta. Solar believes the recommendations may be too strict for existing building plans, and that money is somehow involved in the cover-up.
The Israel Antiquities Authority was paid a lot of money to convey an archaeological survey of the site. That means that they have a client. Normally, I would not talk against the interest of my client, but they have an additional interest, the Antiquities Authority. Once the plan is approved, every building, every infrastructure project will require archaeological excavations. They will make more money.
Ultimately, those trying to save Lifta believe the land authority will have to revise its current construction plans. Others argue the village can be saved with money.
I would say an ideal scenario is that a philanthropic group buys it, restores it for the benefit of the public.
Whatever happens, everyone agrees that Lifta is an archaeological, historical, and cultural gem of immeasurable value that survived thousands of years of invasions, war, and human settlement. A place worth fighting for. Reporting from Lifta in Israel, Maya Margit, I-24 News.
Joining me now in the studio is our reporter, Maya Margit. Maya, first of all, fantastic job on this story. I love that we got those documents and we were able to put them up there. Bottom line, it seems like there's something going on here, a fight over, the interests of developers who stand to make a lot of money if they build housing, the Antiquities Agency, which has, it seems, contradictory interests. One, in preserving the archaeological ruins there. On the other hand, they stand to gain money if there is development. You got a response from the Israel Land Authority.
Right, so most people I spoke to were unable or unwilling to discuss this because they were basically told not to, from what I understood. All the archaeologists were not allowed to talk about it. I was only able to talk to architects, but the Land Authority basically said that they're planning on building 268 residential units. There's going to be a hotel there as well as a commercial area. So this does sound like a massive development, though they did say there won't be any high-rises. They made it sound like these will be villas, 2- or 3-story buildings at the most. And they say that for them, they hope that the building plans will help preserve Lifta because it's in such a state of decay and disrepair that they say that there's something needs to be built there in order to preserve it. But they did not respond to my questions about the survey. They did not tell me what happened to the survey, where did it go. They did not respond to why the archaeologists are not allowed to discuss it. They say that there will be a public tender soon, so an entrepreneur will be able to buy the land and develop it as they wish, but that they will be telling the entrepreneur to follow the strict guidelines that the archaeologists set out.
If they're going to follow those guidelines set out by the archaeologists, then why are they not public? Those guidelines, why were they taken down? It stands to reason there may be different guidelines that are going to be submitted.
There's a lack of transparency in this story, and this is part of the reason it was so complicated to, put together, because everyone I spoke to, everyone has their own kind of take on the matter. Some people told me, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to talk to the media. I was told not to talk to the media, and that's as far as the conversation went. And as for the survey, it should be publicly available because it was by court order that it was put together. So it should be something that's available for everyone, and the Antiquities website is currently down for maintenance as of, this report, and they're not able to comment on it at all. We'll have to see what happens. There are several solutions that could be put in place for Lifta,
What are some of those solutions?
Well, according to Uri Shapira, the architect I interviewed who was involved a lot in Lifta, he told me that he thinks the best solution, and I agree with him, is that someone buys this, a philanthropist buys this plot of land and preserves it for the public, turns it into a kind of national park. They have to go through a lot of there's so many layers in Lifta. You go into one building and there's floors and floors of layers of history for each different building there.
Right, but isn't that really the responsibility of the state to preserve, archaeological ruins, that a private person has to come in and buy it because somehow the state can't be trusted is kind of a disturbing conclusion from your story. Thank you so much, Maya. Great job.
Sure.
We're going to take